look forward today to updating you about the progress of Sandfire, and as Paul had just said, a company that attended one of the first luncheons about 10 years ago, and from my recollection, a company that presented in the Gold Coast conferences probably a lot longer than that, a long time ago. At the moment for Sandfire, there are three key aspects that I want to focus on: the DeGrussa operations in Western Australia, and also the other two wonderful opportunities that we have in Africa, in Botswana, and also in Montana, the USA. We're building off the strong operating platform that we have got. We're expanding our production profile horizons, and we've got some wonderful exploration and discovery news to talk about. Just to give you a little bit of a highlight of how things are progressing at the moment, this year, our 8th year of operating at the DeGrussa Monty Complex will be a sensational year. It'll be a year where our operating capabilities will be at their highest. Production profiles expected to be about 70 to 72,000 tonnes of copper, some good gold results, and probably our lowest average operating cost. So it's going to be a wonderful year for us, and that's essentially going to be 8 years in a row. We've amassed about $250 million or thereabouts in treasury, and we have no debt in the company. During the process, or during the time of this pandemic, I'm pleased to say that it hasn't affected at all the operations at DeGrussa. It has to some extent had a modest impact in terms of delaying some of our development projects, but I'll give you a bit more of an update on that in a minute, but it will not change ultimately the outcome from those projects. We're very excited about the opportunities and the diversified and moving forward into a sustainable mining company across multiple platforms. The next platform for growth for us will be, and we'll be moving quickly, in Botswana after the acquisition of MD Resources and on a project called T3. We have a dominant position in that region, controlling somewhere in the order of 12,000 square kilometres in Botswana, and recently had accumulated another 6,000 square kilometres in Namibia. So we've got a significant ground holding in that region. Recently we have made a new discovery at an area called A4 Dome, which is only 8 kilometres away from the T3 project, and that will enhance that wonderful prospective opportunity at T3. Further afield in the US, the Black Butte Copper Project, we have recently completed our permitting of that project, and that's an extraordinary milestone for the company, being the first new hard rock mining permit that has been issued in Montana in 24 years. So a fantastic job from the team on the ground, and we're advancing our feasibility study on that project. We're very strongly leveraged to the copper market, and as we sit at the moment, and obviously during the process, in the time of COVID-19, we have seen a reduction in the commodity price, certainly for a number of commodities. And I think this is a wonderful opportunity to invest at the bottom of the cycle for a number of opportunities. You'll be hearing from other presenters today, and I'm sure they will have a similar view. Just to touch on a couple of key highlights: very tight capital structure in the company, and we've always been very conscious of that dilution. We have under 200 million shares on issue in the company, and as you can see from the slide, we're operating in 3 jurisdictions, essentially in what we call APAC, Australia Pacific, in the middle, and in Africa, so in EMA, and also in the US in AMA. Shareholder structure is predominantly Australian based, but we do have a significant shareholding from offshore as well. The last 14-15 years has been a busy time for Sandfire in terms of what we have done since listing of the company. A number of the milestones are identified there, but particularly highlighting what's happened recently both in Africa with the MOD acquisition and now that project that we're looking to develop, and also the record of decision in the US in Montana. Financial performance for this business has been strong. It's been strong ever since we commenced production at DeGrussa, and we've been blessed with a very high-grade project delivering fantastic financial results. So order of magnitude, as we come into our full 8th year, we'll have revenues somewhere in the order of $500 to $600 million for the full year, and operating cash flows on average over that period of time have been order of magnitude 50%. So it's been an extraordinary project at the DeGrussa Monty Complex. And we have been a strong dividend paying company ever since the 2nd year of operations. That will continue from those operations as well. Just quickly touching on a couple of highlight points. For Asia Pacific, this is really the DeGrussa Monty operations, and the time that we've been operating, we've produced over 500,000 tonnes of copper, 300,000 ounces of gold for revenues of approaching $4 billion as we sit. And as you can see, the margin at nearly $2 billion is a 50% margin from those operations. It is about grade at that operations, and we've been blessed with that. $173 million worth of fully franked dividends in that time, and retained and accumulated profits to shareholders of the company of $600 million. So that's a wonderful story. The DeGrussa operation and the Monty operations are about 10 kilometres apart, and essentially we mine out of these two underground mines and feed a 1.6 million tonne per annum concentrator in the central part of Western Australia. Good production profile, as you can see at the bottom of the screen there, and very consistent operations, and they will continue. What is excellent about this project is with the high-grade Monty project, we're seeing elevated grades towards the end of the mine life at the DeGrussa Monty complex. So over the next 2 to 3 years, we expect to see some of the best operating results that we would have ever seen at that operation. At the same time, the lowest operating costs as well. So that will continue to be the engine room that drives value and enables this company to then reallocate those hard-won dollars into other wonderful investment opportunities. In Western Australia, we started our exploration efforts at the DeGrussa area with about 450 square kilometres, and today we sit with over 7,000 square kilometres of prospective geology and an 80-kilometre strike length that relates to what we believe to be highly prospective geology for repeat deposits of the likes of DeGrussa and Monty. So we will continue to explore in that region, and as we sit at the moment, our exploration budget in the current period will be order of magnitude $20 million for this calendar year. And what we must remember is we are here today because of that extraordinary exploration effort and the continuation of the investment that we make in exploration. So it's a critical part of the business. It's very difficult to acquire a significant value without paying a lot for it. And obviously, at the end of the day, if you can explore and make discoveries, that is the greatest pathway to value creation. And we'll continue to do that in Western Australia in what is still an extraordinary, highly prospective bit of exploration ground. Further afield, and turning to Botswana now, late last year the company acquired 100% of another listed company called MD Resources, and recently we completed a transaction to buy some ground from a company called Kapore. Currently the business, we own now 100% of over 18,000 square kilometres in the central Kalahari copper belt, 12,000 square kilometres almost in Botswana, then extending through into Namibia. And it's an extraordinary opportunity in terms of prospective geology and underexplored geology. To be in Africa, which I've operated in before, Botswana is probably the #1 rated country to operate in Africa, so we're very happy to be there. And where we are at the moment, we have got a very vibrant mining workforce and a significant amount of support for development of that project. Without getting into too much detail, this diagram here gives you an indication of the extensive ground holding that we have got in Botswana, then through into Namibia, and as I said, it's somewhere in the order of 18,000 square kilometres. All the little dots there on the page and all the stars indicate copper mineralisation, and you will see there a T3 project is our focus at the moment, and very close to that is a new discovery called the A4 Dome, only 8 kilometres from the T3 project, but there is a proliferation of copper mineralisation throughout that entire belt. And recently we talked about the A4 discovery some 8 kilometres away from T3, and a couple of days ago we updated those exploration results. Highlighted here is just to give you a bit of a sense of it. You can look at the detail at your leisure, but essentially we have now a strike length at the A4 Dome of some 700 metres. It's the top domal style of geology and grades that are in excess on average of the grades we're seeing it from the T3 project. So A4 is tending to be a slightly higher grade opportunity, and we look forward to that enhancing the T3 optimisation that we're undertaking at the moment, and really the robustness of the project in Botswana. But more particularly in talking about Botswana, what I wanted to highlight was really just the extensive nature of that ground holding and that mineral opportunity in that region there, the prospectivity of the entire region. We're also undertaking a significant, it's a region that has been underexplored, and we're undertaking significant exploration drilling. We expect on the A4 Dome, this new discovery, to have new drill rigs recommencing drilling there at the beginning of June, and by the end of June we expect to have 10 to 12 rigs on that new resource drilling that out. The number of ore bodies there, not only the domal ore bodies close to surface, but also underground as well. And we'll continue to pursue that. We're also undertaking some further electromagnetic surveys, and we've got a lot of prospectivity in that region to follow up on. I'm going to just now move into the American side of the operations, and as I said to you, very pleased after a very extensive efforts and the $60 million investment that we've made in Sandfire Resources America, a company that we control 85% of, that company has received its mine operating permit record of decision. So that is the first new mining permit to be received in Montana in the last 24 years for a 400,000 tonne copper ore body. And we're looking forward to completing that feasibility study, and we'll give you further updates on that in due course, and ultimately taking that project into production. So from our perspective, it's very exciting times for the company. Moving forward in terms of optimisation of the DeGrussa Monty operations, completing the permitting and licensing, as well as further exploration upside in Botswana, and then developing the T3 A4 projects in the coming period, and then in due course looking at finalising the feasibility study for the Montanan Black Butte project, and then taking that into production. So it's been a very strong 7-8 years for this company. Strong performance in 2020, and we expect that to continue at DeGrussa and Monty over the next couple of years, with some wonderful operating grades and production profiles coming through. Good cash flow, good cash at bank, and no debt in this company. And we're continuing at this low point in the cycle to accumulate and aggregate high quality assets that we can look at developing in due course, and thereby creating significant value for our shareholders. Thanks very much for your time today, and look forward to answering any questions that may come today, or certainly further by email, so feel free to get in touch with us.
Thanks very much, Karl. There have been some questions today, as it happens. A few investors have sent us some queries. One investor asked us, will the A4 discovery be part of the T3 base case development in Botswana? How much bigger could the whole project be?
Thanks, Paul. Look, it's a very good question, and we're very excited at the moment. We've been spending a lot of time, and just prior to COVID pandemic coming to bear, we had 8 rigs on the A4 Dome, and the A4 Dome is about 8 kilometres away from the T3 project. As far as we're concerned, the T3 project was acquired when we purchased MOD, and effectively that is a project that will go into production. And now with the A4 discovery close to it, it looks at having the capacity to expand that project. The possibility is at a very early stage in the development of T3, A4 will enhance that. The grade looks better than the grade on average at T3. And so we are potentially, in a very short order, potentially within a year of the development of T3, or maybe even sooner, having an expanded operation that is not operating at 30,000 tonnes of copper per annum, but potentially significantly higher, somewhere in the order of 40 or 50,000 tonnes of copper production per annum for a long time. So it has a significant opportunity to expand those operations.
Thanks, Karl. And another question that we've received is, what is your exploration budget in Botswana?
Thanks once again. Exploration's an interesting beast. I think when organisations have success, their budgets will change. We're having great success, and we had an initial budget once we acquired the MOD and that project in Botswana, and we had a budget of $12 million for 12 months. But with success, it's likely to see that budget expand. And in fact, success breeds further interest in exploration. So I think that budget in this 12 months will be probably order of magnitude well and truly above that $12 million, and probably approaching somewhere in the order of $20 million.
And one more question, Karl, if you may. An investor asked us, is there any gold potential in the DeGrussa region?
There is significant opportunity for gold in the DeGrussa region in Western Australia. Initially, the company was exploring for gold in that region, and it has been a region that has yielded gold mines in the past. So that was our original endeavours in terms of, before we made the DeGrussa discovery, we spent 10 years exploring for gold. Interestingly enough, Paul, we are actually back exploring for gold in that region at the moment, and we've got some wonderful opportunities, particularly following up on some drilling at a project called Old Highway, which is our original project that led us to the discovery of DeGrussa. So we are exploring for gold back in Western Australia, and we think there's some great opportunities in that part of the region as well.